Monday morning.
So cold, I've got
What is that there?
Smurfette.
Smurfette in a Hewlett and Dunn coffee mug.
Smurfette.
You better get bundled up. Rob Browne in Memphis, Martin in Ocala. It is a freeze warning in the South. That's kind of corny. That's what they were saying about every time Auburn would get a big recruit, it was a freeze warning. Well, that's over. But it really is cold. Watch us this morning. We are live. We've got Dave Bartoo, College Football Matrix, Coach Pete Cordelli, Coach Ellis Johnson, both with national championship rings. Get pen and paper handy and take a picture with your QR code. We are live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, 8 channels simultaneously at the same time, as they say down here in the South. But we also put reels up. Man, Brendan put out a lot of great stuff. Houston Nutt was our guest Friday. That was an all-timer. That was a fantastic show. But we do it every day, and this channel is your best place to come for the SEC and college football. Get ready for the Hour of Power because
Hour of Power.
Hour of Power. We are ready to go here in
Let's go.
Sidelines Monday, November 10th. Hard to believe. Got Coach Cordelli, Coach Johnson. Gentlemen, staff meeting. We're going to have a round top table with no chairs.
Staff meeting today.
Less than 10 minutes for this staff meeting, but
both of you coaches are late for my staff meeting. I'm pissed. I want to laugh.
No, they were here early. Ellis was early. Pete.
Tom Cruise, I want 2 laps from you because you got a little press kit later going on. We got to get you to get in shape now. Come on.
Coach was in there, and I know Dave's in the green room. He said he'd be watching. But just to recap from the weekend, I don't know where to start. If you're a fan, Alabama, LSU. Wow, LSU cannot run the ball, and their offensive line. I like when Sean McDonough at the end of the game said, "What's the problem?" And Greg McElroy said, "It's LSU's offensive line. They're not very good." So where do you start?
Whoa.
Oh,
the freeze warning hit Tuscaloosa Saturday night. LSU ran for 53 yards. Alabama ran for 52.
Yeah.
Whoa. Are you kidding me? Yeah. LSU can't run the ball. The only thing Alabama has going for it is they make chunk plays on third down.
Yeah.
And then they don't have a quarterback that runs backwards to try to escape the pocket.
Yeah. Pete, I was going to ask you about that. I was watching it with Michael Jordan, my friend who knows you, and he said that's the number one thing they tell you when you're a kid playing quarterback, never run backwards. And you're right. Alabama and LSU both, either one of them. I mean, I'm trying to find a team in the SEC. Are we going to even have 2 all-SEC running backs? It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in college football, but it happened last year when Georgia won the league when they were 15th out of 16 in the SEC. That was weird. And we're looking at it this year, Alabama and Georgia. Georgia ran the ball well against Mississippi State Saturday, but still a lot on the table.
That gap scheme run off tackle was unbelievable. I mean, the way that they're kicking out, sealing. When you seal the inside, expand the front side and get downhill. And those big-bodied guys for Georgia, this is the second week in a row that they've had their entire offensive line healthy back, but their gap scheme runs were huge, and the running back is really playing well. But let's go back to LSU, Alabama. You've got the ball. I mean, it's down on the 14-yard line. You're coming out of a timeout. Alabama rushes 3. The ball's on the right hash. They go turn protection to the right, which means the left guard, the center, right guard, right tackle, all turn to the right. The left tackle's on an island. He's one-on-one with the end man. That kid runs up the field and contain. He does what he's supposed to do on defense. The left guard and the center are doubling the other guy. The right guard and the right tackle are doubling that guy. I mean, and all Nussmeier has to do with the wide field to the left, you teach quarterbacks when you climb the pocket, you climb at a 45-degree angle inside the inside hip of the tackle the side you're going to. The left tackle, he's kick sliding, he's riding that guy out. There is a huge gap on the left side because the left guard and center have created a wall. They've sealed off that other. If he just climbs the pocket, and remember, you got 3 on the board. don't take points off the board.
Yep.
If he climbs the pocket, now somebody's got to come and defend him. If not, keep running. You got green grass.
Yeah.
And Nussmeier tries to spin out to his left and goes right into the defensive end, who the tackle's pushing to the outside, and loses 14.
Yeah.
Now you're 4th and goal from the 28.
Yeah.
Which makes it a, 10, 30, 45-yard field goal.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a 5th-year senior, dude.
Yeah, you should know that. I agree. Ellis, before I go to Dave, I got to ask you, watching these games, Diego Pavia, and Dave and I were talking last night. I think Diego Pavia is the single most impactful, important player to his team on any college football team since Cam Newton at Auburn in 2010. Cam didn't have 25 or 30 NFL picks playing with him, but he and Nick Fairley were the two best offensive and defensive players in the country. Diego Pavia, what do you say about him? How do you defend that guy? He just finds excuses to win. I've never seen anybody like him. He's like Fran Tarkenton.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there were several times in the early part of that game, you just cut it off and say, well, Vandy's they've hit their ceiling. Then you cut it back on towards the end of the game, and just because of Pavia, I'm not saying nobody did anything. Tight end's a good player too.
Yeah.
But Pavia brings them back. I mean, they're in the game, and then they take over the game. And it was just amazing. I totally agree with the statement you made. It's a great way to describe him. No other team has the need for one player as much as Vandy needs Pavia.
Yeah.
And he just continues to do it. It was an unbelievable performance, I thought.
Yeah, it was. And Dave Bartoo, you look at numbers and you look at a lot of things, and by not looking at too much, you simplify it. You put it in the vernacular, okay? This Matei's Garage moment brought to you by Matei's Garage from Dave Bartoo.
Yeah, well, we talked about this ad nauseum yesterday, and it drives me freaking nuts that the Heisman discussion has basically devolved into the quarterback of the best team. How is that the best player? So we're going to take the guy that's leading the top, the number 1, the number 2, the number 3 recruiting class of the last 4 years, transfer class. I don't see it. And so to me, Pavia is unequivocally the MVP, and to me, that's the Heisman Trophy winner. Now the big question is Vanderbilt, could they stay in the top 25? Because we have not had a winner of the Heisman not finish, not get their team to the top 25. I think since they cheated back in the 50s when they gave it to some guy on Notre Dame and they were under 500. So that's rule number 1. But you think about it. I mean, Vanderbilt is the worst recruiter in the entire SEC. The SEC as a composite has the toughest strength of schedule. SEC as a composite has the best strength of record. I mean, this is like Boston College in the top 25 right now. Yeah. I mean, it's nuts that he is not getting the credit as the best player in college football, as the biggest impact player in college football. But I will tell y'all, being on the West Coast, I've seen this before. There's a guy out here, Jeremiah Masoli, came out of a small school in the Bay Area, transferred into Oregon. Same thing as Pavia. Never give up. This is a guy who loved to run and would square up the safety. Right? Never ran out of bounds, just squared dudes up. So, I can't say enough about what Pavia has done for Vanderbilt. I know Clark and the rest of that staff. Beck is a really good offensive coordinator. Jerry Kill is one of the top 25 graded head coaches of the last 15 years. They got a really good group there. But, Vanderbilt took off literally the day Pavia showed up. So, I think people are going to be surprised at his impact and how quickly Vanderbilt goes back down to being Vanderbilt when Diego Pavia leaves that program.
Pete, you're in the mid-state. Diego, I don't know. I don't care if he's 5'8" or 5'10". I've stood next to him. He's my height. I'm 6'8". No, seriously. He's just a winner, meaning he's a state wrestling champ 2 times, Volcano High School in Albuquerque. Went to junior college, circuitous route to get where he is, but Dave gave the term, give credit to Dave Bartoo and those lights out gummies. He's an elevator. Pete, talk about the significance of him. And then I want Ellis to chop in on, because he is making everybody, if you don't give 110%, you're going to war with that guy.
The term great's used too much about players.
Yeah.
My term for great is there a quarterback or a player that can go out and elevate everybody else around him, no matter where he plays?
Yeah.
That's Diego Pavia. He's making the good player become the great player. He's making the great player become exceptional, because if they don't match his intensity and competition, he gets on them. They feel bad. Look, there isn't a team in America built off the height, weight, speed chart, okay? Not in the NFL, not in college. High school, they got to play with who they got to play with. Dick Vermeil said a long time ago, Coach Landry, when I worked for the Cowboys, all these numbers are great. Here's my number 1 question. Is he a football player? Number 2 question, is he a winner? When I was coaching at Notre Dame, Timmy Brown won the Heisman in 1987. Coach Holtz came in and he said, Al Davis is going to come in and talk to you because the Raiders are thinking about taking Timmy Brown. I said, great. Sure enough, Coach Davis comes in. There was a guy in high school played for my dad, played for the Raiders for 9 years. So Coach Davis and I talked about him a little bit. We had a guy who was our soccer coach, but was also the trainer for Al Davis when he coached the military team for 3 years in World War II. The military team was undefeated for 3 years in a row. So I asked Coach Davis, he said, do you have any other questions? I said, yes, sir. Everywhere you've been, you've won. What's the key? He said, Pete, when I get into the 4th quarter, I got so many other things to do. I can't teach a guy how to win in the game. So when we draft a guy, I never want to take a guy from a losing program. I want to take guys that have been there before. They understand how to win in the 4th quarter. He said, because when the pressure's on, they either rise up and accept the challenge, or they kind of go, I don't want a part of this. He said, in the National Football League, he said 99% of those games comes down to the last 5 minutes of the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
I want guys that know how to win. He said, the other thing is, do they have are they a captain? How do their peers view them?
Yeah.
Leadership. Diego Pavia is a winner, knows how to win the game. And we took that and we added that into our evaluation system of high school guys. So if it came down to 2 guys at one position, first question, is he from a winning program? Second, is he a captain? And that helped us going forward. And that was a huge way to make a decision on guys.
Yeah, it is. And Ellis, I want to switch now to the Texas A&M road win at Missouri. And then that was significant because everybody's waiting. And Dave, you know this, everybody's waiting for A&M to just A&M in the month of November. Is A&M, Ellis, in your opinion, the best team in the conference right now? Right
now, I think they are. They're maybe not the most complete team, but the thing that impresses me about them right now, the Reed kid has played better for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, I thought he was kind of the Achilles heel early in the season. When their offensive line gets cranked up, nobody has stopped them yet. You know, Florida had a great defensive outing against, I think it was LSU or somebody, and they go over to Texas A&M and they get just mollywopped in the running game. I mean, it was just, I couldn't believe it. But there's no question right now they're playing better than anybody else in the conference. Mm-hmm. And the defense is playing better. I think Elko has started calling it. Yeah. But he's got his hands in it a little bit more. But they're playing better. That was, you know, they weren't that good on defense early in the season. Yeah. But they are right now. So I think Reed getting better and the defense playing better. Now, you got to remember, Missouri didn't have Revula. They didn't
Yeah.
have a quarterback. And I think that was a huge handicap. But, yeah, they're playing better than anybody right now.
Yeah, Dave, Missouri's down to their third team quarterback right now. And what's the guy's name? Sam Horn, who was the starter. He's going to play for the Dodgers next year, whatever. But Dave, a lot of people are sitting around on the front porch right now. They might even be liquored up. It's early in the morning, but it's the South. Drinking out of a clear mason jar, going, I ain't ever seen anything like this. SEC 1 through 16, it's so good. Is it parity? Kind of break it down for us. It's fun.
It's not so good. It's parity, yeah, but these teams would get absolutely their asses mopped by past SEC teams. You know, there's holes everywhere. Look, I know A&M's doing a wonderful job, and everybody in College Station's excited about it to the point of it's actually pissing me off with the number of people on social media asking me why A&M isn't number one in every statistical category in the freaking country. Look, you have the 53rd best scoring efficiency defense. It's not that good, okay? And if you look across the board, even adjusted for opponent, total scoring efficiency, which is the number one indicator for the quality of an offense and the quality of the defense. You take Oklahoma, you take Texas, you take A&M, and you take Alabama. Take those four teams. Combined, they are 16, 15, 11, and 10th in the country in combined offense and defensive scoring efficiency. These are excellent teams. Nobody's elite. Nobody's great on both sides of the football at all. You know, they're really good for the SEC right now, but fans have got to understand Nick Saban years, Kirby a few years ago. Those two teams at LSU championship game, they lived in the top three, offense and defense. The SEC doesn't have a single team with a top 15 offense and a top 15 defense right now. Parity is awesome, and that's why you're getting all of these close football games and everybody talking about it. But I do not believe for 1 second there's an elite team amongst them right now. Doesn't mean they can't have a team that wins a national title, because football is now way down here. The continuity's gone, player development's gone. Nobody's as good as they used to be. But I just don't think there's an elite team that is dominating on both sides of the ball in the SEC right now.
It's going to get worse next year when they go to a 9-game conference schedule with only 16 teams.
Yeah.
I mean, Greg Sankey has made a huge mistake in going to 9 conference games with only 16 teams. But that's for another time.
Yeah, let me.
Greg's job is making money, and Greg made them money. Look, he didn't approve going to 9. Those athletic directors did. He didn't approve bringing in Texas and Oklahoma. He brought them to the table, and everybody said, I want the money. Now fans next year, they're going to go, I want my cake and eat it too. Guess what? You took the money. Now you're going to take the ass beating.
Yeah, and you know what? I was going to ask you, Dave, your take on the SEC is, I agree with it. It's what it is. These past teams would beat the hell out of them. Or I like what Ellis said, mollywop them. I mean, that's a good one. I like that one, man. I mean, I do love that one. And I mean, but let's look nationally. Ellis pointed out last week in the Big Ten, the lack of ranked matchups. Here come the Indiana Hoosiers, and they go down to the damn end against Penn State. Are there questions about how good Indiana is? I mean, where is the elite football team in America that keeps you up at night with nightmares?
None. There are no bullies in the league. And even Ohio State, they ain't been tested yet. Not real. So, Indiana having that near miss the other day kind of makes you understand nobody is invincible. And Dave hit it on the head. Those teams about 5 to 8 years ago, before this portal stuff started, they had great depth and dominance, and 90% of it was in the fronts on defense. And the fronts on defense were controlling every aspect of the game. They were so dominant and turning the ball back over. causing turnovers of quarterbacks and everything. They were actually affecting the game as much as any other position on the field. Now you can't stack depth in those positions. Kids leave and they go play somewhere else.
Yeah.
And parity is fun to watch, but you're right. There's no bullies in the league anywhere that I see.
Yeah, Dave, you even talked about Oregon. I mean, look around the country. Where do you see the closest thing to a dominant team?
Oh, the closest thing to a dominant team is Ohio State's defense, unquestionably. That's the best unit in college football. Game, set, match right now, even adjusted for opponent. But what I always look for, and I've been doing this for a long time, is everybody's heard me talking about team scoring efficiency, offense and defense, and that's the best quality of a team. And one of the reasons I gravitate to it is because if you go to the end of the regular season, since the turn of the century, the last 25 years, you go right to the end of the regular season, and I give you the top 3 in offense and the top 3 in defense in scoring efficiency at the end of the regular season, not after the championship games or anything like that. Just those top 3. Every single national champion is in those top 3. Every single one. Right? Not top 5, not top 10, top 3. You have to be elite. So we are through 11 weeks right now. Top 3 on defense: Ohio State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Oregon. There's 3 title contenders for me on the defense. On the offensive side, USC, Vanderbilt, and Notre Dame. So there's at least 4 playoff teams in there right now if this thing started, and those are the 4 that I would bet on to win the whole thing.
Dave, can I ask you a question?
Yep, obviously, yes.
Let's go back to the
it's open question time.
Let's go back to the Heisman Trophy talk. Why is the linebacker from Texas Tech not in the conversation?
I don't even know his name, man. I've never watched Texas Tech play a second this year, so I'm not sure. Let me tell you something though about how I do my job. Okay, about Texas Tech. I got a little story for you, because everybody was focused on the money they spent on players, and everybody was focused on the recruiting. Yeah. And I said this in August because I was allowed to, but Texas Tech improved their offense and defensive coordinator in the offseason more than anybody in college football. You can go see on Twitter. I posted it. Their offense and defensive coordinator pairing is top 10 in the country. Nobody saw it, and now they got a top 15 offense and a top 3 defense. It is a badass football team right now. I don't care what league they're in.
Yeah. I mean, one thing for sure, we had the top 10 matchup in the Big 12, and all the predictions when BYU came in the league was they wouldn't succeed in the league, and they sure as hell are. You look at Houston with Willie Fritz. There's a lot of these older coaches that are having success, but again, who are they playing? I mean, that's what you got to wonder about. But looking back in the SEC, Ellis, this weekend's matchups: Oklahoma's going to come to Alabama, Arkansas is at LSU. Florida at Ole Miss. Ellis, do you see Florida being a problem? I mean, what happened to them at Kentucky is a nightmare. I mean, wow, that's the worst beating against Kentucky, I think, since the 50s for Florida. I just didn't see that one coming.
Well, this would be a game, this coming game, Florida at Ole Miss. This would be a game everybody would be talking about. It's a huge trap game for Lane. But I don't know. It's just when you look at what happened at Kentucky, you have to wonder if those kids have given in a little bit. And Kentucky's not a good football team. I mean, they're tough SEC and all that. But, I mean, to get beat like that, it kind of makes you think the emotion from the coaching change is all burned out now. So now it comes down to working through that. I've been involved in 2 or 3 of those, and kids play hard the first week. The next week, they wondered who in the hell is going to be coaching me next year. Am I going to stay here? And they just looked like to me they were terribly distracted and not 100% into that game.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine for all of us that have YouTube streaming, we were looking through the neighbors' blinds and hoping they had direct TV. See, Dave, you out there on the West Coast, you don't suffer through this, do you? Wait, of course, you don't watch.
No, I don't. I don't suffer for missing any football games, but I will be straight up. The weather was bad this Saturday, so I was in the house an abnormal amount this last week, and the Ducks kicked off at 2:00. So I had that on for a bit, but no, I haven't had any disruption in watching football out here on the West Coast.
All right. So, Pete, we'll start getting rapid fire here. The Heisman Trophy, Marcel Reed. He was the number 20 quarterback coming out of MBA in Nashville in the class with Arch Manning, Jaden Rashada, and I guess Dylan Sayin or whatever, Dylan Raiola, Julian Sayin, who cries when he has an incomplete pass. Come to the SEC, and I mean, you'll have more than one incomplete pass a game. But I do think Dave's right about Ohio State. They're loaded, but week after week, if you keep, eventually you're going to get to where you're going to have to run a race that has a lot of hills in the course. And that's what I think scheduled strength is. You better be preparing for that because it's coming. Who is a surprise in the SEC right now? I mean, how many teams do you think we get in the playoffs? 4, 5?
I think
maybe?
4.
Okay.
No, I think 4. These last few weeks in November, the unexpected is going to happen, even though it's been a crazy year. Dave, the kid at Texas Tech, his name is Jacob Rodriguez. Absolute stud. But anyway, he's a defensive player that should be considered for the Heisman. Rob, back in July, if we take the Heisman as you asked about, Arch Manning, I mean, shoot, he should have gone to New York in August.
Yeah. Get there early.
And Garrett Nussmeier and DJ Lagway and Lenore Sellers all should have been with him.
Yeah.
I mean, and now I don't understand the regression in Lagway and Anthony Richardson. I'm going to say it again. Florida's had 2 of the most unbelievable looking athletes at quarterback during Napier's time there, and both of them regressed.
Yeah.
Nussmeier and Lagway get benched on the same night, and they should have. You throw 3 interceptions? Hell, when I was with Lou Holtz, he asked me, I said, Coach, what about so-and-so throwing 3? He said, that would have never happened with me. He said, why? Because after the second one, his ass would have been over on the bench with me.
Yeah.
He said, that's ball security. Quarterbacks making absolute ridiculous decisions. But Diego Pavia is a guy, obviously, playing really well. The guy who's coming on, I think, and is helping Georgia, especially with his downfield passing, is Gunnar Stockton. He made some throws on Saturday, and I know he had some receivers go up and high point that football. But Stockton has gotten better with his accuracy throwing the football as the season has gone on. We talk about offensive line, defensive line. Coach Johnson, a few weeks ago, you had talked about a team that they're not very good up front on both sides of the ball because of the way they practice. And you know what? I started watching more teams. How, if you're at Alabama coming off an open date and you're at LSU coming off an open date, you only rush for 52 yards and 53 yards, which tells me the emphasis is on throwing the football. So we become a pass-first college football offense dynamic right now. How well do we throw the ball?
Yeah.
And right now, the running game's not there. And there comes a point in every football game, everybody in the stadium knows you have to run the football, either to convert a third down and to get another possession. So going along with what Dave does, I've started to look at not only offensive scoring and defensive scoring, third down conversions, because that adds more possessions. And right now, I can't tell, other than A&M, who has 4 running backs. Yeah. They have 4. And Marcel Reed makes 5. E.J. Smith, Emmitt Smith's son, is there. He transferred in from Stanford. Yeah. He gives them a nice change of pace coming off the bench. And then they have a redshirt freshman. So when we start looking at what's going on, there's one guy in this league carrying his team right now, and that's Diego Pavia.
Yeah.
It all comes back to Diego.
Yeah. I mean, I have not seen Ellis Johnson. I haven't seen a player like him. I mean, the couple of questions that I asked Diego Pavia at SEC Media Days was, I said, what lessons did you learn from year one that you're going to carry forward into year two? He goes, good question, sir. He goes, I've learned when to slide and save my body. He said, because this league is unforgiving. He's just, but you look at Diego Pavia, I don't care how tall he is. He's like most actors in Hollywood. They look big on the screen when you meet them, but on the field, he looks 6'5", 235. He's just something about him. But I go back to what, Dave, you have made me, and I think everybody watching this show, God, we're blessed to have so many people viewing, the best EP in the world, Brendan Martin, about efficiency, scoring efficiency, defensive scoring efficiency, OC, DC, CEO. I've had famous people recently say, that fella Dave you got on there from Oregon. I go, yeah. He goes, this old coach said this the other day. He goes, he knows his shit. He goes, he's a smart man. He goes, now, I tell you what, I wish he'd have been around when I was coaching. But Ellis, day in and day out, you've seen those big guys bang heads in practice. It just creates a mentality. And like Pete said in the fourth quarter, you don't hope you can run the ball. You know you can run the ball, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, teams that can't, they can't close out a game when they've got a small lead. They can't get a critical third down. They end up throwing the ball in situations where you should be able to run the football, and there's a lot more risk in that. You start stopping the clock at inopportune times. And the other thing that I've always believed, Pete and I were talking about this several weeks ago, I've always believed that the physicality of a college football team, because of the nature of how you have to.
Did somebody get mollywopped? Did somebody get mollywopped? Oh my gosh. Dave, I think.
Just you and me, buddy. We can host this thing just fine.
Yeah, no question. How's the elk hunting going? How's the elk hunting going?
No, the elk hunting's great. You know something? You kind of sparked something in my head though when you were talking about Nussmeier and Lagway and so forth. There's part of me that wonders, because one of the aspects that we do is we test for advanced athleticism in players to help advance recruiting. So I believe that when we're born, we have a certain genetic code that allows for a certain peak of athleticism. These quarterbacks, very, very difficult to measure, but do we expect a lot out of them because they look the part, yet mentally they're past their peak? They just aren't smart enough to play at a certain level, right? And I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm just saying from a football standpoint and a processor standpoint and seeing the field and not making stupid mistakes, do we look at a guy who's 6'4" and can run, look like an Anthony Richardson, who's never been able to carry a team in his life? Not right. Billy Napier, not anybody. That guy just looked like he was supposed to be that guy, but mentally just wasn't there. And so I think a lot of times we get caught up in the visual of what we see and go, well, he's as big as Marino. His arm is as big as Manning, right? So just because he looks the part doesn't mean mentally he has it all together. And it's not just quarterback, it's any of these guys. I think it's difficult. That's probably the most difficult thing in evaluating somebody. Like you talked about, we're looking for winners. Yeah. It's that mental aspect that gets guys over the edge in terms of, really at that elite level.
Well, you can hope you're going to do well, but ultimately everything boils down to discipline. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Aliens got me, man. I don't know. Ellis left. I left. You guys did a great job. I could see y'all did a great job. So thank you. We lost a couple of engines, but we got them back. We got 2 more. But Ellis, what those Pete and Dave just said, my dad always used to say about people that were really talented that underachieved, he'd say, boy, that guy's got $1 million worth of ability and $1.98 worth of brain. That's a bad combination, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Dave's exactly right, but it's so hard to evaluate. If you've ever watched some scouts come in to try out a couple of your top players, and they're there an hour and a half to 2 hours, and they've got quarterbacks doing little footwork drills and throwing certain things, and they're watching their arm movement, all that kind of thing. You can't evaluate the mental part. All you can do is watch them compete. And like you say, is he a football player? Is he a winner? So if you try to judge it on something that you have no measuring capability, there's no metrics that I know of where you can cut a kid's head open and his heart open and figure out, has he really got what we're looking for? You just got to watch him compete and hope that it tells you something. I used to always like it, maybe not necessarily a quarterback, but I loved it when football players were also wrestlers.
Yeah.
And if they were a skill situation, it's good to watch them play basketball too. Even a big old lineman, if he's on the basketball team, you make him see something about his feet and so forth. There are a lot of little things like that, but I loved it when they wrestled because you can't be a wrestler without some mental toughness, and it will expose it really quick in a kid. But that's hard to measure, guys. I mean, I don't know how you measure it.
Hey, Rob, when Ed Orgeron was at LSU, LSU went in and redid their new facilities. And they put in what they call a VR room, virtual reality screen. And they had their offense go in while the defense was lifting. And they would actually have all 11 guys go through a virtual reality play call and different things as to what they would see on defense. And then they'd have the quarterbacks go in. And this is when Jaden Daniels was there and Mike Denbrock and before that, Joe Burrow was there.
Yeah.
And Burrow said the virtual reality deal got him thinking quicker. So I was making decisions quicker. Wow. And he went to Cincinnati and he got the Bengals. They have that now. Jaden Daniels comes in and says, yeah, the virtual reality room really helped me.
Yeah.
There have been reports that some quarterbacks at LSU after Burrow have not taken advantage of that room. I'm not saying that's the end all be all the answer.
Yeah.
But just to try to increase quicker decisions, making right decisions to help you see, identify, and get the ball gone before that internal clock expires.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to develop that virtual reality to teach you how to pick wives.
There you go.
Tom Cruise in Hollywood, that ain't working. There's just too many to pick from, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I mean, but
I missed on 3 of them, so I'm looking for number 4.
Well, Tom, I mean, that is important. What I'd like to know is, Dave Bartoo, you wrote programs back in the mid-'90s, and Ellis, we could all benefit from this. Coach O, I love Coach O. I love that guy's intensity. I know some guys that have played for him at Tennessee. He's a smart man. He wrote that program. I don't know if he did or not, but Dave, I would hire you if I'm a football coach or AD to come in there. I recommend everybody, and I'm going to tell you something. There's a podcast out there called 1,000 Casts with Bill Ackman, who's a well-known hedge fund manager on Wall Street, and a guy named Oliver, who was a fishing guide. It's about 29 minutes and 17 seconds. I've watched it about 100 times. But one of the reasons he pulls this guy out of the Patagonia, fishing down in, Argentina up to Wall Street to work for his hedge fund, he said, I got you in here because you don't think like all these other Ivy League guys I've got in here. They all think the same. You think different. Dave, your value, and the value of Ellis, Tom Cruise Johnson, Pete Cordelli, your value increases every time I watch games now because the number of people that come to me and they go, that group you have on Mondays, it's just, wow, it makes you think outside the box. So why doesn't every school have what Coach O brought in 2019? Pete, I never knew about that. I didn't even read that in The Athletic yet. Because they got a lot of good stories. Not many pictures, but good stories.
Well,
Go ahead, Dave Bartoo.
Well, let's be real when we're talking about that 2019 LSU team.
Yeah.
Look, the four of us could have got blackout drunk and wrote up plays for Joe Burrow that were successful. Okay. So, let's go a little grain of salt. Just because you have a machine in front of you that helps you process faster doesn't mean you have the ability to process fast to begin with. Maybe it was refining a tool those two men had, but a Nussmeier or a Lagway or any of these other guys simply don't have it. Like we were talking about in the Landers Ford break just a second ago when you guys took a bathroom break. We have this athleticism level that I could measure, right? I could do that.
Yeah.
But then there's the intangible of the winner, the desire. We talked about measuring that. One of the things I love the psychology of sports. And one of the things when coaches ask me, well, what can we do differently to recruit? Stop watching recruits during good games. If you're going to go watch a recruit, try to go to a game when they are going to get smoked and watch his reaction when they're down 7 and 10 and 17 and 24 and trailing in the fourth. Right? Is that guy throwing his helmet? Is he sitting on the sidelines? Or is he trying to fire up his team no matter what the score is? Right? Film lies. So if you're trying to evaluate somebody up here, watch them in the worst environment. That's who they are. Not the best environment, the worst environment. And it's not just football, folks. If you're out there hiring people, finding people, if you're young right now, something, people, you show who you are in the worst situations. And so to me, that really shows the difference in a lot of players is what do they do when the chips are down and your team is down?
Yeah. There's somebody watching right now. I love it. Indian Pass Pirate. I love this guy. He's watching. He's at the Frank Browne Songwriters Festival at one of my favorite bars on earth, the Floribama down there at Orange Beach. I love the Floribama. Dave, you got to come down and go to the Floribama. That was Kenny Stabler's haunt. And Michael Jordan from Memphis Christian Brothers High School, St. Paul's, he's watching the show right now. He and Angie driving back down to the coast, down to Florida. And by the way, MJ and Angie, it's just as cold in the Florida Panhandle, L.A. we call it, as it is here in Memphis, Tennessee. Dave, you just said another one. It's fine. You know what? Another measure of people is watch how people treat people who can do absolutely nothing for them. How you treat the person that cleans the bathrooms at your office and opens the door, cleans your office. You never know. And as a financial advisor, you never know. They may win the lottery and they may go, you were always nice to me. I got $100 million. But always remember, I love that. How do people act when everything around them is falling apart? It's called being a husband or dad or a coach or teammate, Pete. You know that.
Oh, man, you just threw Ellis under the bus. Come on. We're live.
No, I'm just saying all of us know that because Ellis has 3 awesome kids. I mean, and I'm just saying I've got 4. And I'm telling you.
He said he had 3 awesome wives with 3 awesome kids. So, and Lou Holtz had 3 rules. Can't trust you.
You got to have balance, guys.
Yeah.
I got 10 fingers and no rings, and I love jewelry.
Oh, yeah. Can I trust you? Are you committed? Do you care about me? Do you treat others the way you want to be treated?
Yeah.
Dave took a shot at a Notre Dame Heisman Trophy winner on a Notre Dame team that didn't have a winning record. And I'm going to tell you a little story about that Heisman Trophy winner. I recruited Michael Stonebreaker out of J.T. Curtis High School in New Orleans.
Yep.
And his dad, Steve Stonebreaker, played for the Saints. And
you got Stonebreaker.
Yeah. And Steve Stonebreaker says to me, Coach, meet me at the old abstinence bar in the quarter tonight at 6:00. I said, Steve, I'll be there. And I'm staying at the Marriott downtown. So I just walk over and I walk in and there's Steve standing at the bar and there's a stool that says reserved for Kenny Stabler.
Wow.
As long as Stabler, no one could sit on that stool, whoever came in. It didn't matter how crowded it was in Mardi Gras or anything. And I look, and they're standing behind Stonebreaker. He said, "This is my best friend in the world, my teammate with the Saints, Paul Hornung." I
Wow.
said, "Paul, you're doing our radio games." He said, "Yeah." But he said, "Sometimes I just got to come to New Orleans to see Stoney." He said, "You know, we got our favorite places." He said, "And we miss our guy Snake."
Yeah.
I said, "Are we getting Stonebreaker or not?" Hornung looked at Steve. He said, "How long has this deal been done?" He said, "Ever since Michael got born." So you never know where
Yeah.
the tentacles of that Notre Dame thing is going.
That's right.
And thank God we got Michael Stonebreaker.
Well, look at that one. How about Frank Leahy? You didn't know him, did you? No, he was gone before you got
He was gone. Yeah. He lived on top of there's a fire department on campus at Notre Dame. He lived on the second level. His wife and kids lived in Chicago. Leahy's never moved his family to South Bend.
Wow. Hey, hell, Ivan Mazel was on the show 3 weeks ago. That was an incredible segment. Pete.
Nice shot at Hornung there, Bartoo.
Well, by the way, hey, Dave, I met Paul Hornung when I was at First Tennessee Debt Capital Markets Bond Division in June of 1991. He came up there to speak to us on the trading floor. Paul Hornung. And he said, he spoke quickly, but he said, you know, one thing you need to do every day before you're ready to go home, make those 5 or 10 extra calls to that guy you're trying to get hold of, because you're either going to pass him when you're on the way to the office at 5:30 or 6 in the morning, or you're going to catch him at 6 or 7 at night. Because in the between then, he's got all the gatekeepers around him. But he said, do the little extra things that matter. And no one asked him anything about the Johnny Majors deal because that's still a sore subject. But, I mean, it's crazy. Ellis, looking at what we said on this show today about the value of teammates, and you've coached some incredible talent. And as a defensive coach, you understand offense really, really well. What can you do in the last 3 games of the season, the last 3 weeks of the season, if you're how much tension is there right now at A&M, at Georgia, and Alabama, and Oklahoma, and Texas, and Vanderbilt? They went out. They're going to the playoffs. And we will be seeing pigs actually fly. And I'm predicting Vandy to the playoffs. I'm saying it right now. Pigs will start flying. We will start seeing it.
They've got a good shot. What they got? Open date, and then they got another team that should beat, but then go
Kentucky,
to now.
and then
they finish up at Knoxville.
Yeah,
which will be again. Pavia will have to put that cape on, and if they're going to win that one. But Paul probably was a great player and won the Heisman because he was so smart. You know, he one time he got married, and they said, "Well, Hornung, why are you getting married at 9 o'clock in the morning?" He said, "Because if it doesn't work out, I won't screw away the whole day."
Quotable quotes.
That's logic. That's
oh my
logic
God.
you can't compete with right there.
No. Coach Ellis Johnson from Winsboro, South Carolina. We're going to get the 3 of us, all 4 of us together with Brendan and have some cocktails. This will be some fun stories. By the way, Stonebreaker, Dave, that's the greatest linebacker name ever, other than Takeo Spikes. Dave, looking now, you've got your top 25 that you do. It's a different voting set, but who are the teams? And you talked about Oregon. That's your school, but you said they're not really elite at anything. And what is it about Neil Kinnick Stadium at Iowa? What would happen if they got a quarterback who could elevate them with the defense that they play every year?
You know something? I don't know if it's so much about the quarterback. I think it is. I think it's Kirk Ferentz' mindset and his culture. Yeah. You know, he's like Matt Rule, and you know that head coach, right? You remember that the Super Bowl champ Ravens, right? I mean, they won every game 10-7, right? 13-10, right? It was all 1-score games. Yep. And, you know, Kirk Ferentz is just one of those coaches that wants to start a knife fight in a phone booth, and he welcomes it, right? He's not afraid of, you know, somebody's going to win this game on a field goal. We're just going to out execute everybody. And so even with a great quarterback, I'm not sure the outcome would be that much different. They got a solid offensive coordinator in Tim Lester. Phil Parker is a generational defensive coordinator, one of the best in the country, the best bend don't break defensive coordinator in the entire country. They have the best special teams coordinator in the entire country. And so they just play a lot of games in the phone booth, and sometimes it goes their way and sometimes it doesn't. Look, the ball's not round. It bounces differently, just 1 inch in a different direction on that final drive for Oregon. Game's over. They win. Yeah. Right? I mean, that was prototypical Kirk Ferentz football, and he has evolved into being comfortable in that situation. But the bottom line for Iowa, and this is for everybody, and I know people listen and go, well, Dave, Vanderbilt's about to do it with, mid-30s recruiting. I was a mid-30s recruiter. You just don't win a lot of football games at that level. Not enough to get in the playoffs, to be a bowl team, to be a pain in the ass sometimes, to once in a while be really, really good, but to make a 5-game run, of winning football games over top 25 teams. No, maybe with a generational college football quarterback, maybe, right? Yeah. But that's 1 out of 136 teams. So, what Kirk does is great football, but it's just not very exciting. And I think that's why he doesn't get a lot of attention for what he's done over the last, decade in particular.
All right, quick question. You got to throw this at you.
Iowa still has a pink visitors locker room. Right. When Hayden Fry was there, they painted the visitors' locker room pink. Oh. And Kirk, look, in 94, when I was with the Browns, Kirk was our offensive line coach. Tremendous football coach, tremendous mind. Yeah. But he said, I'm going to play defense first, special teams second, and then offense. And the offense isn't going to get us beat. But yeah, that pink locker room, our equipment guy, when we were in Minnesota, Coach Holtz sent the equipment guy down on Wednesday. And he bought all the butcher paper and he put it up, and he made them paint it our colors. And they came in after our guys walked in and said, "Where's the pink locker room?" Lou said, "No, this is our locker. They're playing mind games with you." That's from Hayden Fry's day, man. I mean,
well, look, the psychology it's so big, and I'm looking around here in college football. Dave and Ellis and Pete. Some of the stuff right now, the thing I'm taking away from this morning's show is it's all about the quarterback. It's all about pass happy and not imposing your will on people when you have to. I see so many times teams get down inside the 5 and they can't score. They go backwards. And I mean, the number of false starts, Dave, you're right. It's the lack of continuity. You need about 2 years together for an offensive line to really gel together, I think. So I don't know. I do think this. I think the ratings are incredible, but Ellis is right. Tennessee, Vanderbilt's got to deal with Kentucky, and then they got to play at Tennessee. Tennessee, at that point, all they want to do is deny Vanderbilt for getting to the playoffs because they will never hear the end of it. And, the Vanderbilt fans will remind them, hello, Dee Malmo and my cousin Helen, and a lot of friends. They will not let you forget. I mean, yeah. Do you know Dee? Yeah. His father, John Malmo, is the greatest advertising guy in America. Listen to him on NPR, John Malmo. But wow, Dave, we got just a few minutes left. Tell people right now that are saying, "Oh, this is the greatest football I've ever seen." Kind of. You be the doctor and kind of sit them down and say, "Son, listen to me."
I think it's the most competitive that we've seen, right? Which is fun, right? We want to watch games that come down to the wire. Certain conferences are also understanding that they can control games with judgment calls, holding, passing interference. Yep. Some conferences now call more judgment calls on the favorite, which tightens games, keeps them close, more underdogs cover, which creates more interest, even though the games I don't think are any better in terms of the skill and the coaching. It's whatever the fans perceive, though. If they perceive all these teams as elite and it's better football, who am I to argue? For me, it's entertainment. And are you having fun? If you take it too seriously, I'm sorry, the football gods are always going to disappoint because they giveth and they taketh away. So just enjoy the ride. And yeah, who knows what, we were just talking about 4 teams from the SEC, but you think about it, I think aren't 6 teams in the SEC in play right now? I mean, if Vanderbilt wins out, they're 10-2 and they're in. The SEC champ and the SEC champ game loser are in. There's 3. I mean, you got who's out, right? Because if Vanderbilt goes in, they're 10-2. If Alabama goes in at 11-2, let's say they lose the SEC title game to who? Let's say it's Texas who beats Texas A&M. Now Texas is 11-2. Oklahoma who beat Texas. You got A&M, Georgia.
Yeah.
The conference might shake out between 6 really good halves and the 10 not so good have-nots. And so I'm curious. There's a lot of football left. I wouldn't hang my hat on just 4 SEC teams getting in because conferences like the ACC are falling apart at the seams.
Well, Dave Bartoo, if Texas A&M wins the national championship, will you come on the show wearing one of those white Texas A&M yell leader uniforms and explain to us what all that's meaning during the game? Can we get that? How many gummies will it take?
If somebody sends me one, I'd be wearing it right now, man. That ain't
all right. I'm getting you one.
That ain't no big deal. I'm 40. I'm a man.
Yeah.
I have no humility. Well, I mean, look at I got the blacked out backside because all I got on is a t-shirt and underwear. So whatever. Yeah. It don't matter to me. I gave up caring a long time ago.
All right, guys. I love it. We're going to do it. If A&M wins the national championship, all of us on this show, we're going to wear white yell leader uniforms and do a broadcast. We're going to do it. All right, guys. Awesome. Cannot thank you enough. We got to wrap it up. Say hello to our sponsors, but Pete Cordelli, Dave Bartoo, Coach Ellis Johnson. Man, this has been a blast. And everybody watching, thank you. Share us and like us. It means more than you know. We'll see y'all again next week, and the show will be back on tomorrow. Thank you. All right. Got to say, man, we got to say something about Dave Bartoo's gummies, the Lights Out gummies. They've got energy, they've got chill, and they've got the night gummies. I will tell you, I use them, and I sleep 7-8 hours. And those energy gummies, Dave's right. I'm not hungry during the day. I'm not hungry for a little dinner. And I've got a pinched nerve. They're amazing. Use the promo code Sidelines at checkout for 25% off. Okay. They really, really work. I love these. And I also want to say, Landers Ford, it ain't the doing in life that's so bad, it's the dreading. Just ask for Brad Bellamy, the general manager at Landers Ford, Poplar and Houston Levy. They're open every day of the week except Sunday. Service department, exceptional. They'll pick you up, round trip transportation. Broncos, all the F-150s, the Ford Escapes, whatever you're looking for, they've got it out there. And they're right down the street from our good friends at Hewlett & Dunn. I got Dave Bartoo, Hewlett & Dunn ball cap and a Hewlett & Dunn T-shirt, which he wears. And they've got the boot of the week. They've got Barber, Filson, Pendleton, Schaefer, STS, more duck heads than you've ever seen. They've got these great Filson goose down hunting coats and vests that are phenomenal for wearing, and all the Filson luggage, and over 7,000 pairs of men's and women's boots. And Rumble Boxing, man, how you fight is how you live. Work out every day of your life. You get one trip to the plate. As my Spanish teacher in 9th grade at Christian Brothers used to say, Rob, wake up. You'll catch up on your sleep when you're dead. I fell asleep in a lot of classes. But I came by it honestly. All right, but anyway, for executive producer Brendan Martin, let me say it like I say it at the end of every show. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. You find excuses to win and do what you can to help anybody out there and make everybody's day better. For executive producer Brendan Martin, we'll see you tonight and again tomorrow on this show.